Today, I, Mary Grace Crowley Cook, as the Roman Catholic women priest representative to Women's Church Convergence, present the story of women priests and how we serve our sisters and brothers all over the world. This presentation represents the collaborative efforts of two Women Church Convergence member organizations, Roman Catholic Women Priests and the Association of Roman Catholic Women Priests. Bishop Bridget Mary Meehan from Association of Roman Catholic Women Priests and Bishop Suzanne Theo from Roman Catholic Women Priests have joined together with me to share with you how we as ordained women serve humankind wherever they may be. The main focus of our organizations is the ordination of women. We mainly express our ordination as celebrants in the worshiping communities where we have been called to serve. In these communities, we are concerned about social justice issues and respond to the needs of many. The photos and videos in this presentation reflect persons in various sacramental ministries, including the Sacrament of Presence. They also express the reasons members attend these celebrations. At my monthly intentional Eucharistic community, Spirit of the Living God, worship leadership is shared with my husband, an ordained Roman Catholic priest, and with community members who are also called to lead the community in prayer. For more than 25 years, we have had a wedding ministry to couples that were not welcome in the Roman Catholic Church because of various man-made rules and laws. One of those was getting annulments from the Roman Catholic Church. And it was a very painful experience for these couples because it compromised their initial integrity and also their children being recognized legally. Celebrating weddings outside of a church building where Jesus spent most of his time in ministry is officially frowned upon by the Roman Catholic Church. To us, witnessing these weddings and the other sacraments is a source of joy and a way to live the gospel, because Jesus welcomed everyone to the table unconditionally. In addition, I have been personally involved in ministry to young men seeking asylum in the United States at Viter House of Hospitality as a tutor and mentor for the last 5 years. Recently, I had the opportunity to become involved at Bethany House of Hospitality for women asylum seekers, assisting in procuring items needed for their home, as well as clothes and other personal items needed by the women and their children who sometimes reside there. It's been a joy. The initiative in the church known as Roman Catholic Women Priests began with the ordination of 7 women on the Danube River in 2002. In 2003 and the years following, women continued to be ordained and consecrated as bishops. The first North American ordination of women deacons and women priests was held in Canada on the St. Lawrence Seaway in 2005. The first ordinations in the United States occurred in July of 2006. Since the first bold women priests began their ministry, the movement has expanded around the world. The darker purple color on this map shows where Roman Catholic women priests are serving the people of God in 34 states in the United States. Internationally, we are present in Europe, Canada, the Philippines, Central and South America, South Africa, and most recently in Taiwan. There are currently 285 worldwide members, which include the bishops, priests, deacons, candidates, and some support members. So as we celebrate our 20th anniversary in 2022, we are experiencing a quadrufold increase in vocations of women to the priesthood. The following 2 videos give you an insight into various sacramental ministries and testimonies from members of our worshiping communities. In order to stay within the time frame, I will fast forward the second video in a couple of places. However, when you view it, you may view it in its entirety.
Women are ordained to function in a public ministry as liturgical leaders in communities of equals. Women priests are deconstructing and reconstructing Roman Catholic sacramental rites rooted in a theology of empowerment where all are called to celebrate sacraments. Women priests preach the gospel from women's experiences that have been missing in our church for centuries. We reject patriarchy's teaching that women do not represent Christ in the same way that men do, which has justified centuries of discrimination. There are no different functions for women and men in ministry. We use contemporary theology in our sacramental ministries. Women are equal representatives of the sacred. As presiders, women priests facilitate sacramental rites. We are changing the role of priest as sole celebrant of sacraments to include the community as co-celebrants. We are making a bridge between medieval atonement theology and contemporary theology's understanding of the salvific importance of Jesus' whole life, ministry, teaching, death, and resurrection. Parents and godparents participate more fully in the celebration of the sacrament of baptism. All members of the church represent Christ by their baptism. We are moving from a focus on original sin to original blessing. We officiate at all marriages, including same-sex marriages. Couples may choose the venue for their ceremony. They are invited to personalize their liturgies by selecting significant readings, songs, and writing their vows. The community participates in the sacramental rite of anointing the sick. Many women priests work in hospital and hospice ministries as chaplains. We assist families to create meaningful funeral celebrations of life. During this time of pandemic, women priests and inclusive Catholic communities are walking towards the future as we celebrate Eucharistic liturgies in Zoom video meetings. In my faith community, Mary, Mother of Jesus in Sarasota, Florida, our ordained presiders invite those who gather each week in a Zoom liturgy to have bread and wine or juice in front of them. We invite everyone to pray together the Eucharistic prayer, including the words of consecration. After participants have received communion at their own tables, they share their experiences of Thanksgiving. I hear and feel the Christ's presence speaking through them, offering words of comfort and strength and blessing. According to the Church's official teaching, the words of consecration can only be spoken by an ordained male priest, or it is not considered a valid Eucharist. This medieval church doctrine is being challenged by contemporary theologians who are redefining the sacrament of Eucharist for a 21st century church. In his book, The Future of Eucharist, Bernard Cook observes that a new understanding of the resurrection in the Vatican II Church has broadened the Church's understanding of real presence and helped people to appreciate Christ's loving presence in the believing community. According to Cook, while individuals may have specific functions within the gathered assembly, the entire community performs the Eucharistic action. If this is so, then those gathered are the celebrant of the Eucharist. It is the community that does the Eucharist, not the presider alone.
I'm the pastor of Oscar Romero Inclusive Catholic Church. We call it St. Romero's for short, or in Spanish, Iglesia de San Romero. We have a little English-speaking church that meets in the city of Rochester at the Catholic Worker on Sunday mornings. But the bulk of the ministry is our migrant mass, our migrant ministry. And this is our migrant church that just started this year. This is the 4th summer of the migrant church, and the first 3 summers we met in people's homes, usually outside, and then moving inside when it got cold. But this year we were able to get a place to use. Now everybody, the reason you're only seeing me and not anybody from the church is that everyone in our little migrant community is undocumented. They all walked across the desert to get here, some of them carrying small children, some of them being children.
Welcome to Holy Wisdom Inclusive Catholic Community here in Olympia, Washington. We gather twice a month for Eucharist and liturgy. And come on inside and meet some of our people.
So tell us, why do you come to Holy Wisdom Inclusive Catholic Community rather than to the local parish?
I need a community that is inclusive. I need to see women on the altar. I need to see women in vestments. I need to see women as part of the traditional church. And being here makes me realize, from my truth, from my voice, this is truth. This is, I believe that Jesus is here. Jesus is here. Divine guidance and wisdom have brought us here. And for me, this is the right place to be.
What do you do outside of the liturgy to promote justice, both personally and as part of the community?
Every individual in the community is nourished by their membership here because of the love that exists between people, just the flow of love. And in our liturgies, it's very affirming and grace-filled. So from that, many individuals here go on to specific things, into working for housing for homeless people, working in areas of mental health, and then corporately, we have a group ministry of running a food kitchen. A couple of our members go to Africa and work with youth and children in Africa. They always bring a lot of art supplies and spend several weeks there every year.
Dave, what do you enjoy about Holy Wisdom Inclusive Catholic Community?
Well, a lot of things. And one thing is we always eat after Mass. There we are doing it. And I always like it.
Sharon, what is the mission statement for Holy Wisdom Inclusive Catholic Community?
Holy Wisdom Inclusive Catholic Community gathers for the purpose of worship, spiritual development, service, and social justice. We joyfully embrace the gospel message of Jesus and are called to live it out with transparency, collaboration, hospitality, grounded in radical, deeply rooted love. Thank you.
Loving God, in whom is heaven, may your name be honored everywhere. May your kingdom come, may your heart's desire be done in us, by us, and through us. Give us the bread we need to restrain. Forgive us, enable us to forgive others. Heal us from all anxiety and fear, for you made it the power of love, which is our glory forever and ever. Amen.
I'd like to undertake our
We are
We
We are Mary Magdalene Apostle Catholic Community,
a new way to be Roman Catholic.
Making Catholicism relevant.
restoring women's ordination.
Living the change we envision.
I also wanted you to be aware of a wonderful progressive resource through the efforts of some members of the Association of Roman Catholic Women Priests regarding the development of the People's Catholic Seminary. This video briefly explains their programs and course offerings.
Welcome to People's Catholic Seminary. People's Catholic Seminary began in 2017 as a seminary without walls and was founded to educate women and men, ordained and non-ordained, in new ways of thinking, attitudes, and values to meet the needs of today's inclusive ministries. People's Catholic Seminary's vision offers courses that inspire and educate individuals and groups who embrace a vision of spirituality that is inclusive, liberating, empowering, and equal. Our courses, public forums, and the Master of Ministry program offer many benefits and outcomes. They create connections between empowering scriptures and mystical Christian traditions. They expand theological landscapes. They cultivate healing and learning communities. They dismantle patriarchy. The future of adult education requires open minds and loving hearts committed to justice and equality in all faith traditions. People's Catholic Seminary courses are offered in Teachable's interactive learning platform. Students are invited to group sharing in Zoom. Each course includes multimedia resources. All courses are available in a cohort model or as an independent study. Teachable provides a structured learning environment with lectures in thematic sections. Each section offers the opportunity for participants' interactive responses. For more information about People's Catholic Seminary, visit our websites, pcsseminary.org and pcsseminary.teachable.com.
Another great resource is the Comprehensive Catholic Lectionary, which was developed by Roman Catholic women priest Bishop Jane Vaya and priest Nancy Corin. It is available through the combined efforts of RCWP and WALK. Some additional resources are listed here for your information. Please note our worshiping communities are listed on our website under the drop-down box, Worshiping Communities. Many of these liturgies are Zoom or live streamed because of COVID, and all are welcome. We hope this presentation has helped you understand how the Women Priest movement began. Please visit our website for additional information. If there are any questions, we'll take them now.
And you could unshare your screen.
I would just like to make a comment that was fascinating. Thank you so much. I've never realized all the influence that women priests have.
Sorry about that glitch. This is a first for me.
It was well done. Well done.
I just want to say, I like the fact that both of the organizations, Roman Catholic Women Priests and the Association, work together on this. I think for a lot of people, I was just in California and trying to explain to people that there are two groups. It's somewhat difficult. So I'm thrilled that the presentation had parts from both. Thank you.
And Sister Reverend Bishop Bridget Mary was invited. And so something must have happened that disabled her from coming and being with us today, but she had it in her calendar. So I don't know what came up, but she was going to join us.
Yeah, I think
Right.
Ruth, that's an important point, and I think we have been working together for a long time. You know, we've done conferences together, Parliament of World Religions we just did in the fall. Bridget, Mary, and I probably talk at least twice a week. So we're good friends, and you know, that all started when years ago when Patricia Friesen kind of embellished the numbers. And she one time said, oh, we have 250 candidates. This is 10 years ago. And the media kind of called us up and said, well, we can only find 25 people on your website. What do you mean you have 250? So from that point, even though we know we were having some issues, she and I agreed we were going to stick together no matter what. So we've had that relationship, even though I know some people don't realize it goes on.
Thank you, Mary Grace, for featuring the varieties of communities around the United States as well as, and I just want to accent what Ruth started and what you, Suzanne, just commented on the connection between RCWP and ARCWP. Dagmar, it's lovely to see you on the screen today. Let me just say that as one of the Danube people. So, so welcome and thank you for being here.
Well, I'd like to just also share that we've had even joint ordinations between the association and Roman Catholic women priests. So it's not really any separation or division. They're just different people doing things differently.
Yeah.
I wanted to just say one thing, that kind of crinkly map there was one we used at the Parliament of World Religions when we had a booth together with ARCWP 2 different times. And it was amazing after 5 days of being at that booth, how many faith groups came up to us and were so excited that we existed. They'd never heard of us. We never had one negative comment from any other groups. It's the Catholics that sometimes give us trouble, as you all know. And but it was really very, very supportive. And this year we had to do it, of course, on Zoom. But I've just been moved by that experience of being at Parliament of World Religions and being able to. That map we'd pull out, and everybody was always gawking at the map and looking at where.
I like that map.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I don't know. I can't find a bigger one or a better one. But anyway, I just want to share that with you because I think that's really meaningful to think that these other faith world religions were so supportive. And young people came back. We had some women in turbans. The Sikhs would wrap people's heads and they came back. We just came from the Catholic Mass and we can't figure out what's wrong and blah, blah, blah. So it's very enriching. I think if we can just move the men a little bit, as you know, that's what we're trying to do, we would be a lot further along.
I wanted to just add my thanks to Mary Grace and to RCWP and ARCWP. I've had the privilege of doing some work with the groups, especially last summer when we had a marvelous event that brought together the RCWP people, and I learned a lot. And 2 things that I've noticed, and I noticed it again today. One is how nimble you are, that you were able to seamlessly move in with COVID, that you didn't fall apart, that your ministries didn't stop, that you were nimble in terms of being able to adapt your ministries to the needs of the world. And I think that's really a wonderful sign of the quality of the ministry. And the other thing I noticed was that I think, I could be wrong, it'd be interesting to see in the reflections on the 20 years. I wonder 20 years ago, what people envisioned, what RCWP and ARCWP people envisioned as their contexts of ministry. And I had the impression, and I could be wrong, but I had the impression that some people thought they were going to sort of be, pastors of large churches and so forth. And the whole community hasn't gone that way. Not just RCWP and ARCWP, but the whole Catholic world is very different. And in that sense, I think you have been harbingers of new forms of ministry that are emerging in new forms of church. And I really find that something to explore and to think about, particularly in the context of women's church as well, that, we've never been a mass movement, but I think just to take one example of the scandal that has arisen in the past 14 days with the baptismal formula flap. I mean, it's laughable and people are just outraged and offended and, just can't even believe it. But it's such a good example of how irrelevant and what a mess the institutional church makes at the same time for the people whose lives are impacted by something like that. So it just all says that the directions that we're all moving, I think, are to the good. And I think we can take great hope and great solace in this work today. So thanks again to Mary Grace.
Thanks, Mary.
Well, reflecting on, I've been ordained 15 years and my
my view was that I was going to have, I didn't ever want a large community. My passion was for home church, and my brother's a priest, and I always missed when that stopped in our home because my mother couldn't handle having a Baptist receive communion. So that was kind of my passion, always looking for that small faith community. And the people that are open in my town are all Pax Christi community, and they already had a priest that was he was actually the one that taught me liturgy, so it didn't really evolve into a regular ministry. So I call my community both in Michigan and Florida the Sojourner Catholic community, meaning everybody's transit, because here in Florida, the snowbirds are coming and going. We have people from Iceland and Germany, and so I do miss doing liturgy in my home, but with COVID and some of my health issues, I just haven't risked doing that. So I participate with Jean Marchette's community out in Boston. And I had set that up 3 years before COVID because I said the pastor needed a pastor. And so it's really worked well because my main ministry is taking care of my husband who has Alzheimer's. And so it just continues to evolve in the ways through writing and publishing the Spiritual Connection and being gospel wherever I am.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Thanks for sharing.
This is a question not only for you, RCWP, ARCWP, really for all of us. It's one that actually Mary and I were talking about earlier. It's kind of the age question. Who are in our communities, and is this I was noticing the pictures, of course, we were meant to notice them, and who the communities are and who the communities are not. And so who are we as Catholic keepers of the faith? Let me put it that way. And is it only for our generation? Is it an intergenerational? Are the younger people finding this kind of faith something that is valuable to them, or for them to carry on, or what is theirs? And I suppose with RCWP, with your 235 world members, how many of those are on the younger side rather than on the keepers of the progressive side of the church? You hear what I'm saying and asking, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Probably about 10%.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question that people are always kind of asking us. And obviously some of us have more white or gray hair than others. I think recently we're seeing a few more younger in their 30s or so candidates come in. But remember, it's really difficult for a 30-year-old to try to be one of us and still want to work in the church or in a parish setting, or
have a job.
Yeah, exactly. They've got to maintain
Make money.
their own personal finances, and very few of our worshiping communities actually pay the presider. So it's an interesting issue. And of course, I've got 3 30-year-old sons who all went to Catholic school and all that kind of thing, but none of them have anything to do with church. So I think we don't know the answer to that. I think we're all kind of evolving, and it's sort of a chaotic time in not only Catholicism but Christianity. And so I'm not sure, but who knows, maybe we will all be like the dinosaurs and extinct in the
Well, somebody asked what we envisioned in 2002, and that what we did not envision was a mass movement that somehow was going to replace the Roman Catholic Church. What we did envision is giving the Spirit an opportunity to grow all kinds of alternatives. And that's exactly what's happening. And some of the people who participate in communities are younger with smaller children, but they can't, they can't make a living, or for that matter, find the time to pastor whole independent communities, maybe. We also have practically no Black people, a few Asian people. I mean, and I think it is what it is, and it's good the way it is. And other people will do, as the Spirit moves, things will grow in different directions. I don't think we need to imagine that we have to somehow control it and grow it. We just have to be there for women who want to be ordained, whatever age or race.
And I would like to say, add on to that, two things. One is that we don't have the marketing ability that Roman Catholic seminaries have. So to get the word out there about the women priests movement is very difficult. And one of the ways that I think we're doing it is when we open up our communities to people in that community who would like to lead in the community in prayer and lead the Eucharist. And that affirms their priesthood. And then hopefully this gets out there, and for them, this is a blessing. And for then how this, moves down the line, it's up to the Spirit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify one thing about women of color. The Western region now has a scholarship fund for women of color. We do have 2 or 3 Black or African American women. So it's not that we don't have any, Dagmar, but we do.
No. We had
we have a
one in
wonderful-
Chicago for quite a while, and
Yeah, we did, and she died.
You
but-
know, yeah,
but
she died.
We do in the West have 2 or 3, I think now. So,
Yeah.
and like I say, we're working on that with a special scholarship for that.
I just saw pink smoke over the Vatican, and it was good to refresh some of that and to see Alta Jacko, who was our first Black woman priest.
Alta.
And to hear again her voice of how she could not follow, another means where women were oppressed, that she had to say yes, both as a Black woman and as a woman, breaking the mold. So that was really powerful to hear again.
Alta's ministry was very different from what most of us think of as ministry. She never had a community. She didn't do a lot of presiding and sacramental stuff. She took a bus every day and talked to people about Jesus, about Spirit. It was just a very different way of seeing her call. And I think that's the other thing we have going for us, is that not everybody is into creating communities that say mass on a regular basis. And not everybody that's participating is necessarily going to get ordained. I was told by an older sister at Erie, Benedictine, that when Joan Chittister brought in some nuns to kind of expose them to the community and see whether they'd be interested, when they were done spending days with the community and learning about the Benedictine community, they all said it was wonderful. They liked it, but they have a call to ordination if they participate at all. And it was interesting because they were very young. Now, they haven't showed up in our organizations, but WALK, for instance, is run by, they're not that young anymore, but they were pretty young when they started. And it's a mixed bag, and that's the way the Spirit wants it.
Good point, Dagmar.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. Mary Grace and all your group. It was wonderful. I'd like to move on. Does anyone else have any comments? Because I'd like to move on to the next step in the agenda if we could. This, I hope, will be on the website for us to refer to in the future, because it was wonderful to see, and it'll be wonderful to see again and recall.
Yeah, this is Carolyn. I just have one thing to say, and I think that people who are looking for a group or a way or something to feed their souls are going to find what they need. And if that's a small community, that's what it's going to be. Or a large community. I mean, it just, people are so different. And now they are free to do whatever feeds them.
Right.
And, you know, I have 5 children, none of which are anywhere near a church. One's Buddhist, and she's very active in that. You know, the 12 grandchildren, no. The great grandbabies are not being baptized.
Yeah.
So that's the way it is. They're going to find their own way. And it's just wonderful that there is such a variety for them to go to.
Yes.
And that's what you showed in your presentation, Mary Grace. It was lovely.